President Cyril Ramaphosa says his predecessor, Jacob Zuma's decision to prosecute him privately is an abuse of legal processes and perversion of the private prosecution system. Zuma accuses Ramaphosa of being, quote, an accessory after the fact to crimes committed, among others, by advocate Billy Downer, who's the lead prosecutor in the former president's corruption trial. He's also accused Ramaphosa of breaches of the NPA Act. Let's get more on this now. We can speak to Mzwanele Manyi, who is the spokesperson for the Jacob Zuma Foundation. A very good evening to you, sir. Grateful for your time today. So what exactly do you think the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, has done that not only warrants his prosecution, but jailing?
Good evening, Temsile, and your viewers. It's not what he has done, but it's what he has not done. You can sometimes be guilty by omission instead of commission. So in this case, we've got a person that's guilty by what he has not done. What he has not done is that despite a very serious letter written to him to bring to his attention the shenanigans that are happening at the NPA, happening to a former head of state, something that he should have taken up very seriously, and it was suggested to him what is it that he could do by way of investigating, by way of establishing a commission and all of that. And instead, he just kicked the bucket down the road and they forgot about everything. And this is where we are. As we sit here and now, there is still no truth as to what exactly happened in that situation. We're still bickering and all of that. Had he done what he was asked to do, maybe today we'll be sitting with a proper factual account of what has happened. So indeed, the issue here is what he has not done.
What are these shenanigans that you're referring to?
The shenanigans that we have, the situation where we've got a highly compromised NPA, where a highly placed state prosecutor like Billy Downer that can get information out of the system into his own connections in the media space, information which, in terms of the NPA Act, is not supposed to leave the premises unless permission is specifically granted by the National Director of Public Prosecution. In this instance, there is absolutely nothing on record that says Batoy had authorized him to do this, Batoy had given him to permission to do what he has done, and all of that. And I know this is a case that in the media space there's some obfuscation about things being in the public domain, and the truth of the matter is that that is a lie. The truth of the matter is that information, even without even talking to what was in that information, but information that was leaked by Billy Downer to Karen Mon, that process was an unlawful process. So that is the issue that was reported, and President Ramaphosa did absolutely nothing beyond just telling Lamula and forgetting about it.
Why is it for the president to intervene then when, if Billy Downer as a prosecutor has fallen foul, as you're alleging, of the law and proper protocols, he's got a boss? Why not report that to his boss instead of the president? Are you not asking the board of a company, basically, to deal with an HR issue?
The NPA is part of the executive arm of government. President Ramaphosa, in terms of the constitution of the country, he is the original authority in terms of executive powers of running this government. So when you have something of this nature and you report it to the head of state, you expect the head of state either to do it himself or cause it to be done, which none of it has happened.
Is that not political interference?
This is the situation. I beg your pardon?
Is that not political interference, asking the president to interfere basically in an issue at the NPA, which, as you've now done, you've taken on private prosecution against Billy Downer himself? So would that not have been political interference for the president to get involved in a matter between an accused person in the former former President Jacob Zuma and indeed advocate Downer?
Yeah, well, then if that is interference, then appointing Zondo will also be interference, because that was a political appointment. Why was that not left to other independent agencies to do?
Appointing him to
I think you must
capacity.
understand. I beg your pardon?
What is the comparison to Chief Justice Raymond Zondo? Which appointment of his is similar to asking the president to intervene?
I'm talking about Zondo being appointed to be the head of the commission. That was an appointment made at the presidential level. Now, if a president is not able to make that kind of an inquiry, all you ask for is a Zondo type thing, an inquiry that the president could do, just like it was done with the Zondo situation. So somebody must get on and do the thing. He should have appointed somebody to investigate this matter, a commission of sorts, because this is quite a serious matter that carries a 15-year jail term. So for anybody to go into a 15-year jail term is quite a serious thing.
Okay.
So you would think that the president would take it seriously and appoint a commission.
So you want, Mr. Manyi, if I'm hearing you clearly, President Cyril Ramaphosa to face prosecution, possibly 15 years in jail by your calculation, you say he could face, because he did not establish a commission similar to a state capture commission of inquiry, which came on the back of recommendations by the public protector to deal with the grievance of one accused person, being former President Jacob Zuma.
We're dealing with the principle here, and the principle is that of accountability, that we wanted an institution, because the important thing here is about the credibility of the NPA, and I can see that we're trying to trivialize the matter, unfortunately, but the fact of the matter is that we're talking about the credibility of the NPA, the fact that we have a highly placed public prosecutor like Cyril, who decided to make a profession out of private prosecution, is a serious indication and an indictment on the NPA that the NPA is not thorough, that the NPA does not do things the way it should do. So we're giving the president an opportunity to get to the bottom of the rot that is happening in the NPA, so that we can improve confidence in the state apparatus. Instead, the president just relegated his the responsibility and did nothing about it, didn't do any follow-up, nothing. Okay. He just kicked a bucket down the road and then he forgot about it. You cannot have a situation like this.
So when it comes to private prosecution, you were able to obtain, weren't you, a private prosecution certificate to indeed pursue the matter against Billy Downer after the NPA said that it didn't believe it was a matter worth pursuing. Do you have a private prosecution certificate that names Cyril Ramaphosa as the person specifically that you want to deal with, and will it be strictly in his capacity as head of state?
Yeah, I can see this question is quite loaded. I don't know who was coaching you. Here's how it works. You write to the NPA. You make your case to the NPA. You don't take the NPA's hand and tell it what to write. We wrote to the NPA and the case was made. The NPA responded. In the response of the NPA in its wisdom chose to cast the net wider. The NPA in its own wisdom decided, without us forcing it, decided to actually give us a category of people, and it called them any person that's connected to this matter. So the NPA gave us a wide canvas. In fact, President Ramaphosa himself has begun to suggest who else should actually be part of this. In terms of his own suggestion, I think he's already suggested that maybe Lamula should be accused number 2. In terms of this, but indeed,
let
me finish this point. We are indebted to the NPA for making sure that we don't do this thing piecemeal, that all the people that must face criminal charges, the NPA has opened it wide to say all those that must face criminal charges, like Ramaphosa is facing criminal charges, therefore the others as well must come along as we move with this.
Will you seek a similar certificate to prosecute, say, someone you've just referenced, the Justice Minister, Ronald Lamola, given that the NPA falls within his department, so he's the person politically accountable for how it functions?
The certificate already covers him. If we can, if a case can be made about what he should or should not have done, the case can be made against him, but the certificate covers him, covers Breitenbach, it covers everybody. You must remember, when we made the first report at the Pietermaritzburg police station, all these individuals were all mentioned. The fact that it was reported to the president was all part of the initial thing happening in 2021. So this is not brand new. So all these people are already part of the mix, are already connected, are already included. It's just a question of who do we make a case against at any given point in time. Okay. But right now, we've got a nolle prosecute certificate that has got a very wide net, which is ready to accommodate all the people that must be charged criminally.
Just lastly then, remind us again of when you obtained the certificate, Mr. Manyi.
Okay, let me remind you the sequence very brief. The crime happened in August last year, and we badgered the NPA to charge these people, and the NPA was dilly-dallying, it didn't want. Eventually, the first one they issued was in June this year. And when they issued the one in June, it only had one name on top, Billy Downer, and the rest of the other names that were part of the application, it didn't have. We went back to them and we have badgered them again to say, where are the other people that with us that should be part of this nolle prosecute? And we had to even threaten to take NPA to court. Fortunately, they then came back, and they only came back on the 21st of November, 2022.
Right.
So it's only about 3 weeks ago. This is when we had this certificate. Only then did the lawyers then find time to put things together. And by the way, it didn't find them twitching their fingers. They were busy with other cases. So they had to find time in between. And we could only manage to do this only recently. So, and in fact, the serving of papers happened yesterday around lunchtime. Okay. And in those papers, there's the whole thing. There's summons that are there. There's a full indictment that is there. There's a huge submission on the statement of facts. So the entire submission, end to end, is all in there. And this morning we're surprised when we hear the spokesperson of the president saying stuff about nolle prosecute. I think president is getting better advice.
Quick final one, Mr. Manyi. Quick final one, because we're out of time, you and I. So you say you got this certificate around towards the end of November. Is it then pure coincidence, given how busy your lawyers are, that it was only made public from the Jacob Zuma Foundation on the eve of the start of the ANC conference?
We didn't make it public because of the conference. We made it public because it was only filed yesterday. And between yesterday and the 21st of November, our lawyers were not sitting and twitching their hands. They had other cases to deal with, and then they found time to do this one, and they did it. And the serving happened yesterday around 1 o'clock, and we announced in the evening that this is done.
All right, Mzwanele Manyi, spokesperson for the Jacob Zuma Foundation. Thank you for your time as always, sir.